Well, it's time for one of my favorite parts of any Florida Insider Fishing Report. We're here at the CCA workbench, and guess what, Dave? We're talking about catching triple tails.
Yes, sir.
Let's get right into it.
I love catching them. They're, up where I live in Orlando, Cape Canaveral area is a great place to catch them. A lot of the world records were caught there. Troy Perez, one of the guys there. Scott Lum, another guy. They just catch a lot of really big triple tail, so it's a great place to go fish for him. The triple tail, he's the ultimate ambush predator. He makes himself into being a piece of flotsam, and tries to make shade for the little fish, and the little fish come and he nails them. He'll either be the shade himself, or he'll get right up on close to something else that's the shade,
right?
Like a bucket floating in the water,
right?
Buoy, that's where we catch them most of the time up where I live, and Canaveral's on the buoy line. But they'll also congregate on shallow water wrecks in the surf. We used to have a tuna wreck up there, a tuna boat that had wrecked, and it was like in 15 feet of water, right past the surf line. It was always loaded with big triple tails, and you could catch them with just drop a live shrimp on them and destroy them.
Right.
Now, the shrimp, that's one of their favorite things to eat. That's probably why we get so many triple tail up in the Canaveral area during the wintertime, is we have a huge white shrimp population, and that's when the triple tails move into our area. They like that 70, 75 degree water, so and they're eating all those shrimp. But the big ones will float out there by themselves. A lot of times the tiny small ones you'll see in big schools up on a pile of line or under a thing of sargassum or something like that. But they'll usually be associated with structure of some kind, either when they're a big fish or they're smaller. So, a lot of the biggest ones I've ever caught was after a day of trolling offshore. As we're coming in, we come across a big mat of sargassum. We'll just motor up to it real slow and see if anything will take off. Because what happens is you'll get up on that sargassum, and sometimes they'll either swim out to you, sometimes they get very curious and like a cobia,
right,
and they'll come to the boat,
right,
which is great,
right,
because then they're usually wanting to eat. But sometimes they'll just peel off and head down into the depths, and you can drop stuff. You can drop a jig down there, and sometimes they'll eat it when it's out of sight. I mean, I've caught them on whole ballyhoo before that I've been trolling all day and just dumped it out underneath those things. And a big triple tail can eat a whole ballyhoo very easily. But most of the time, the fish that you're targeting are probably 5 to 7, 8 pounds up on the surface, and they're going to be eating those smaller jigs like that you were just holding there,
right?
The bass assassin, curly tails, and any of the she-shad. But they also like crabs. You got a Savage Gear crab there, that mimic crab. It's a great crab. Little tiny hooks in there, but they're strong enough to catch a bigger fish.
Right.
You heard a couple of the fellas say you want to use a pretty strong hook. I like to use a live bait hook, because the live bait hooks seem to have a little bit more beef to them. You can get up to, 5 aughts or something.
L118.
Right. I also like to use the Circle C's as well.
Circle C's as well?
Yeah, because a circle hook pretty much takes all the guesswork out of it. And the way that the triple tail eats, he comes out from underneath the structure, grabs your shrimp or your little bait fish or whatever, and then heads off back under the structure. And all you have to do with a circle hook is just close the bail and let him hook himself. It's a great way to do it.
Right.
Whatever kind of casting you're doing, or if you're using live baits or even these jigs, you want to put it as close to the fish as possible. A lot of times they'll tell you, not to bomb a fish. Don't splash it right on his head. But a lot of times, a triple tail won't eat anything unless it's right in his face.
Right.
I mean, you either want to cast it to his face or have it drift right by his face. Because
what size rod do you like using?
Well, this pin battle up here is a great one. It's a 7 foot. I think it's a 17 to 25 or something like that. It's a great.
8 to 15. You're right.
It's a great size for them. Your regular old bass stuff. Or
what
even
would you
your
load it up
stuff.
with as far as a braid goes? You're going to want braid,
Berkeley,
right?
Yeah, Berkeley X9. I'd probably put 20 pound on it.
Yeah.
You catch every freaking triple tail that swims with that.
And trace of fluorocarbon?
Yeah, I use some Prospec fluorocarbon, either 20 or 25, up to 40, because we catch a lot of the bigger ones up where I live. And those triple tail, if they're around any kind of structure.
And they get big, what happens to them? They turn into prehistoric razor blades.
Yes, they're all around. It's a buzz saw completely
Yeah.
all around them, so they can cut line, and their gill rakers and their gill covers are very, very sharp. When you go to clean one, wear some gloves because all their dorsal fins, all their anal fins and everything are very, very sharp.
Very sharp.
And thick. When they go in you, they don't break off. They just punch a hole in you. But they're really such good fish to eat.
Yes.
Such good fish to
Yeah, I
eat.
keep
They
saying
are
that.
prehistoric looking.
Fish-
They're wild.
They are.
Fried fish
Next
fingers.
to flounder, I
There's
think
nothing better.
I think triple tail is pretty prehistoric looking. All right.